No, this is a little strange, and again, it's better to talk to someone who is around the team than someone who just writes and speculates. And when it comes to being around the New York Yankees, Sweeny Murti from WFAN in New York has been around the Yankees longer than the Bronx. I mean, he's been around the Yankees longer than the pinstripes on their uniforms. And it's great to have him here today. Damon, Bruce, Alan, Stiles, Sweeny, thank you very much for joining us. How are you today?
I feel a lot older than I did 10 seconds ago, but yeah, thank you.
Sorry, maybe came in after the pinstripes, but
yeah.
I'm trying to explain how absolutely dialed in you are to our audience. And one of the examples of why I wanted to have you on is when we were going through what we went through with Kevin Durant out here. Every single person who covered this team on a daily basis, was at practice, was in the locker room, knew that Kevin Durant was leaving. When it comes to Aaron Judge, Sweeny Murti, do you feel he is leaving or staying in your gut? Is your gut telling you the way that this ends in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I'm always going to be shocked when the Yankees don't get a player that they want, and especially one that they have. You know, the last time they went through anything even close to this was probably about 9 years ago with Robinson Cano, and they drew a line with him as far as what they're willing to offer. Seattle blew that away. And part of the line they drew with him had to do with what he hadn't yet accomplished as a player. And Aaron Judge has kind of, blew those markers out of the water with, between a home run record and MVP. These are barriers that you now have to cross, as a team. You have to cross and make the payment now that they weren't willing to go through with Cano. I'm going to be surprised. I am always surprised, and it's not even. It's more so because Judge is a Yankee. But if he was on some other team and the Yankees had a glaring need, and it was kind of like, okay, he's going to be a Yankee. Until I saw him holding up another team's jersey and wearing another team's cap in front of a podium, I'm always going to believe he's a Yankee. So. That's kind of my feeling with Judge. I'm not, they have been dug in together for 9 years since he was drafted here. The Yankees clearly have the money to pay him if they choose. He knows what it's about here. I'd be shocked if he left.
Sweeny, the report that comes out yesterday in terms of the $300 million, 8 years, can you talk about that? Is that really what has been offered by the Yankees? Did somebody leak this? What's going on there?
I mean, I showed this to somebody yesterday when I was working on a show, and I said, see this page in my notebook? It said 300 equal 300 divided by 8 equals 37.5. I wrote that in my notebook a month ago. Like, this is meaning that it wasn't inside information. It was just like, common sense tells me this is where it kind of has to start, okay? So that we get a report yesterday that the offer from the Yankees is in the neighborhood isn't all that surprising to me, and it kind of feels like the logical place to start when you're thinking about, okay, now the AAV is higher than Mike Trout. 8 years is probably what you kind of have to start at, when the previous offer was 7 years at a significantly lower yearly salary. It just felt like a logical place to be at the beginning. Now, what kind of has surprised me is that we haven't yet heard of this, mega offer from the Giants, because if you think about what I just said, that, 300 has to be kind of where it starts. Well, to pry him away, you probably have to go a little bit more, right?
320, 330, 340.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm. It's not a perfect example, but I'm going to go back to Cano. The Yankees were going to offer him about 175, all said and done. The Mariners gave him 240. Okay, and he said, "Yeah, sure, I'll go." What does it take? Like, I don't think this is a situation where the Giants can offer $1 more than the Yankees and say we got him. You gotta make your pitch and go for it. So I would think it have to be something significant to make, because your ultimate goal is to make the Yankees say, no, we're not going to match that, right? because I mean, if the Giants are going to go 320, the Yankees can say, okay, here's 330, and then now you're kind of wrestling with, okay, do I go there? Do I stay here? There's a decision to be made. I kind of feel like if you're any other team, including the Giants, you don't want him to have a decision. You want to say, bam, I'm giving you this. Does that make sense to you?
Right. You don't let him back on the plane. You put the number in front of him that he says,
kind of.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'll give you an example from, it's not the recent past anymore, it's kind of the past, but Greg Maddux, when he was a free agent, this is now 30 years ago now, actually. He came to New York, and he went on the trip, and he went on the tour. They took him to a Broadway show. They took him to dinner, did everything, and he got on the plane and left. And he told me years later, he was actually surprised that he didn't have a contract offer. He thought he was going there to sign a contract. And he got on the plane and left and went kind of, huh. When he got back off the plane, the Braves had called and said they were interested. They just had to make a move to, free up some space, and they were interested. And all of a sudden, that's where Greg Maddux ended up. He got on the plane without a contract, which surprised him. Now, I'm not saying that would get it done. I don't think if the Giants had met with, was it about 10 days ago now, 8 days ago, they met with Judge. If they had made him a phenomenal offer then, I still don't think that Aaron Judge would have signed on the dotted line and said, okay, see ya. I think he's indicated all along what his timeline for this is. When he won the MVP a couple of weeks ago, he answered a question by a reporter saying, I'm looking forward to getting this free agent process started. That was signal number one that, okay, we're not even close to a resolution yet. And, free agent process started means I'm going to go see what's out there. I'm going to go visit with other teams, Giants, whoever else, right? And that's the right he's earned, and I think the Yankees knew and understood that all along. The other thing he kind of talked about was that these things take time. Usually things don't even happen until around the winter meetings. These are Judge's words, okay? So now he's indicating to you that he's probably not going to make a decision until then. Nothing really has surprised me so far. There's been a meeting with the Giants. There's been, I guess I'm surprised by a little more silence. There's been one somewhat leaked report of a kind of an offer, but otherwise it's kind of radio silence.
Right, nothing definitive.
I guess it surprised me a little bit, but otherwise nothing to this point has surprised me.
Sweeny Murti from WFAN out of New York City covers the Yankees, and I just want to ask you about his ties to the Bay Area. Has he ever really brought that up as something that was important to him? Do you think the pull home would be a stronger emotion than what felt like was being positioned that he was maybe over the Bronx, didn't like getting booed during the playoffs? Now, if you don't like being booed at Yankee Stadium, it's like saying you don't like spending $20 on a cocktail in Manhattan. Like, tough. That's just the way it goes around here. So was there anything to that? It looked like he had fallen out of love maybe with the idea of being in New York and was maybe thinking about coming on home. Did you ever get a feeling of that?
It's hard to tell. Like in the playoffs, your access to them is so limited, and you're kind of like piecing things together. But if that was a real major factor, I'd be surprised. He's been here long enough and knows the ups and downs. Judge himself keeps a note on his phone about I forget the exact number now, but the 160 or 170 batting average that he had as a rookie. Reminding him of the bad times. Like he himself uses that stuff to motivate him. So when he struggles, he knows what the expectations are around here, and he's been chasing a championship here. Only he knows, and his family knows if that's really what he wants. If that's the whole combination of things, of going home and playing for that organization, are exactly what's important to him. Now, he's talked plenty about what baseball and the Giants meant to him growing up. He talked about Barry Bonds during the course of the year, talked about him holding the home run record. I did a feature with him talking about, where he gets, really kind of the roots of him, treating kids so well and giving autographs and things like that. And he told me a great story about Jonathan Sanchez, the former Giants pitcher, signing his hat. one day when he's yelling and screaming for any Giants player to come over and sign something for him. And Sanchez came over and signed it for him. And I actually got to relay that story to Sanchez, who became a huge Aaron Judge fan the rest of the way.
I bet he did.
Yeah, and but that's so he's hinted all along at his upbringing and hasn't really hidden that. But I still don't know if that's enough to say, okay, I'm leaving it all and going back, because I think there are plenty of people around here also who know what playing and winning baseball in New York is all about, and he has all of that here in front of him. He has a chance to go down. He's already one of the greats in the last quarter century in this organization. He has a chance to go down as one of the best ever, and if he wins one World Series here, he won't have to buy a drink ever in New York. So there's that going too, and I think there's obviously a lot of factors there. His family will have something to say about it.
Sweeny, thank you so very much. Thank you for getting us inside and the way you're looking at this whole thing. Again, I think I speak for every single San Francisco Giant fan out here. They're going to be as shocked if they peel him out of pinstripes as people in pinstripes would be shocked to probably see him go. So it's a hell of a story. Thank you so much for adding a little bit of clarity to it.
Well, I don't know how much clarity I added, but at least we killed 10 minutes, right?
There we go. Amen. See, he's been in radio long enough to know what's what. Thank you very much. Sweeny Murti, WFAN.